What's up everybody, it's Jay here, and today, July 12th, is my 1 year post-op from top surgery. This is my top surgery results, and I wanted to do a pretty long, pretty comprehensive video about everything from my experience of having top surgery. I had top surgery with Dr. Charles Garamoni in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I live in Ireland, so yes, that was a trek, and yes, it was expensive. All in all, I think the surgical cost for Garamoni was about 10 grand if you take into account the actual cost of having the surgery, the cost of the surgical centre, the cost of any and all prescriptions I had to get. I think all in all, it was about 10 grand total. I was in the fortunate position where my parents were able to pay for my surgery, so I know that this will not be accessible to everybody, but I'm just going to give you the facts of my experience, and you can use those on your journey to deciding do you want surgery, who you want it with, etc. etc. I made a whole video about how I chose my top surgeon, but I will summarize it here. Basically, I chose Garamoni because he has a lot of results images online. A lot of people have gone to him and he has a good reputation. And because I have a close friend who had surgery with Garamoni a year before I did. So I was able to see his results, hear his experiences firsthand, and because I trust him and we also have a similar kind of body, it was um it was a little thing that I needed to help me and to also help my parents see that this was the best option for me on the table. Because my parents also like and trust my friend. Um then I can't really explain how much it would cost to do all the traveling because obviously, number one, I did not just come with one person, both of my parents came with me. Number two, we also went on holiday in Orlando first. And number three, depending on where you're going from and to and the standard of hotel you like to stay in, your experiences and costs will differ. In terms of the actual surgical experience, if I recall correctly, either had my post-op 1 or 2 days before my surgery, where basically I had my chest looked at, I filled out a load of paperwork, my parents dealt with some money related things, and then I was told, great, yeah, come back for surgery in a few days. Um, then when I went to the surgical centre, really early in the morning, we had to get up to go to the surgical centre on the day of surgery. And the surgical centre is not something Garamoni owns. It is a separate surgical centre, and he basically like rents space in it. So the surgical centre staff are not his staff, but they were also very pleasant. All of the staff I encountered were very pleasant people who were very considerate of both the fact that I was trans and therefore I had certain needs on an emotional level dealing with, having top surgery. While that's very exciting, it's important for people to understand that like they have to be sensitive around the topic of my chest because it's obviously a certain important thing for me. Then on another level, very conscious of the fact that I'm a very anxious person and somebody who really doesn't like needles. So you are given something beforehand, like you have a drip and you are made to take a few pills, and whether it's in the drip or the pills, I don't know, but one of them is anti-anxiety medication, and it really, really helps. I know that it would have been impossible for me to stay calm going into surgery. I had this fear in the back of my mind that I would be on my way in and I would start having a panic attack. And that did not happen because you are given anti-anxiety medication. So it relaxed me. I felt calm, and that was very reassuring for me going into surgery. My mom was able to stay with me up until I was literally being wheeled in to be operated on. All of the nurses were talking to me up until I passed out, and then I woke up in the recovery room. I was given a drink, a biscuit, or a cookie if you're American. I was I think I stayed just sitting around, kind of coming in and out of consciousness for about like an hour or two, until like my parents were brought out to me and they were like, "Oh yeah, he can go home now," and we went back to our hotel. 6 days later, I had my post-op appointment. So all in all, we were there for 7 or 8 days in Fort Lauderdale just for the actual surgery. Those were the days we needed to be there for. After at your post-op appointment, they like take off your bandages and they take out your drains and they show you how to like redo your own dressings until your chest is going to be fully healed. And so I was like in a hotel for 6 days while I was recovering before we went home. Recovering is different for everyone. For me, it was very easy. I didn't experience a lot of pain. The main issues I had were, number one, the mobility. This is a bit gross, but I think it's relevant for you to know if you're going for surgery. I found I did not have the mobility to easily wipe my butt after going to the bathroom. So make sure whoever you bring with you to help you, you're comfortable asking them to wipe your ass, because it could be necessary. On the same kind of wavelength, it is hard to poop after you've had surgery. Constipation's a thing, so be aware of that. Though generally you are warned of that. The drains, I was happy to know to discover that I couldn't feel the tube of the drains inside me. That was something I was worried about before I had surgery. I was kind of grossed out by the idea that there's going to be a tube in me with the drains and I'll feel it. You don't feel it at all. So that was fine. The drains were annoying because they kind of hang here. And I want to do this. I want to have my arms down. But that's not really possible when you have drains in. I only took pain medication on the first day so that I could make sure that I would sleep, and I didn't take any prescription pain medication after that, only over-the-counter stuff if I really felt like I needed to. And that was the whole process, really. That was my experience. It was very positive. It was a very pleasant actual experience. I won't go into detail about all the paperwork stuff that I had to do before actually going over to Fort Lauderdale. Reason being that, number one, it's a little confusing, but they will help you through it. And number two, it's kind of going to be different depending on who you are, where you are, etc., etc. It was more difficult for me mostly because coming from Ireland to the US, I needed to make sure that I had everything perfectly fixed before I went, because there wasn't going to be an easy way for me to get that kind of information or that kind of stuff sorted once we had traveled already. So it was important to make sure that I had done all of that stuff properly in advance. So now to the review. This is the review section. I've already done a top surgery review video, but I feel like this is now the definitive one. So first of all, nipples. I have nipples, first off. There's a little bit of a shine going on here, but I'll tilt. Let's see. Yeah. So this is what my chest looks like. So if I put my arms up, it's clear that my scars are relatively straight across here, and then they curve up a little bit around my body. But they don't look super straight. But also, I didn't want them particularly straight. I didn't need them particularly straight. So this is fine by me. For a bit of context here, I'm heavy, but I didn't have a large chest. So it was when I was still wearing bras, I was only a B. So it was, that's a little bit of a context on the shape and size of my scars. They go all the way back to here and here. So they do stretch quite far under my arm, but I'm fine with that. From about here outwards, they are very flat and quite pale pink. But closer to the center of my chest, you can probably see they're a little bit thicker and a little bit darker than when they are further out. On the nipple front, this is the good nipple. This is the nipple that's popping. And this is the bad nipple, but it still looks like a nipple and it looks like it's popping. It's just not really. My only thing about my nipples is they're not very round. This one, this is the good nipple, but both of the nipples, because of where the stitches were that was holding on the nipple graft, and they're not perfectly round, but nothing that, I don't know what I knocked over, but we're going to ignore that. They're not perfectly round, but nothing that makes them look unnatural or they're not real nipples or anything like that. I was shaved before I had surgery, but this is the amount of body hair that I have. So this is what my chest looks like. I know that my scars are visible, and like my chest does look like it has had surgery, and I knew that because I was having double incision. I knew that that was going to be my results, and I'm very happy with my results. I love how my chest looks. One thing that's worth noting is that if you're like me and you're on the heavier side, you end up with a flatter chest than most men of your size would have, because most men of my size would be carrying some weight on their chest, but I was given a completely flat chest. So I do look flatter in the chest area than most dudes my size, but I'm completely happy with that. I like how my body looks, I like how my chest looks. I would definitely recommend Garamoni to a friend, or to a stranger for that matter. I found him pleasant. I found his results to be excellent. I found the whole process of having surgery to be a pleasant one. And I would honestly say I would literally do every step of it again if I had to. Because it was worth it. It is expensive, and I acknowledge that if you aren't in a position like I was where you have somebody to support you and to help you pay, or in my case completely pay for your surgery, then it could be very difficult to afford. But if for whatever reason you can afford it, or if you are determined to go to Garamoni, I do think he is worth the money. What I will say about scars that I have learned over the last year is, my only problem that I have with scars is that because I am hairy, I actually tend to get ingrown hairs along my scar, because obviously my scar doesn't have a massive amount of sensation. So I end up with ingrown hairs along my scar, and the real solution to that is just I keep an eye on it. I take a look at my chest every now and then to make sure. That's why I look a little red over here, because I had an ingrown hair there the other day. But I just keep an eye on it. In terms of sensation, like I can feel all of the like not chesty, like not nipple, not scar bits. This feels a bit weird because also I don't know how well you can see that, but I did have like stretch marks on my chest before I had surgery, and they're still like present here, as you can see, like there and there. So like it's a little weird feeling under here, but I can feel it. In terms of the nipples, I can feel things, but it's not a pleasant feeling. It's not painful, but like it's not it's not in any way erotic for anybody who's into their nipples. It's not like that. I wouldn't want somebody at my nipples. They still feel kind of nearly in my head fragile to me, because I'm just nearly afraid that you could rip them off. But like I know that's not the case. It's been a year. They're fine. In terms of sensation along the scar, I don't really feel it, but also it doesn't make a difference. I'll be real. When I was first like getting back into being more active after I had recovered fully, it is strange feeling like if you do this and like how it stretches, like it feels different to the way it felt before you had surgery. For example, over here, I feel it like here where my stretch marks are. And when I had first had surgery, it was a strange sensation to work back up into experiencing, but it's fine. My main bit of advice for you, if you are thinking about top surgery or seeking top surgery, my main piece of advice would be do your research, look at a lot of results images, talk to people about their experiences. I looked at surgeons in Poland, England, Ireland, and the States before I settled on Garamoni. While I always had in my like heart and soul and all that kind of thing that Garamoni was the one I wanted to go to the most, I did look at other options just to see if anything else would have been a good choice for me, and eventually I decided on this. And I did a lot of research with results images. Great recommendation for transbucket.com. You have to make an account, but it allows you to look at results images for a lot of different people's surgeries. You can filter by doctors, filter by what type of surgery they had, etc., etc. So it's worth doing. To be honest and upfront with everybody who you encounter along like your surgery process, I was honest about being anxious. I was honest about my weight. I was honest about hating needles, and as a result, like that really helped me. If you have something you want to say, better to say it than not. Other than that, just listen to yourself, listen to your body. When you're recovering, it's gonna take you some time, but everybody is different. By the time I came back from Florida, when I was like 8 days post-op, I felt completely normal. I genuinely felt completely normal. I was more frustrated because I couldn't do stuff I wanted to do, like go to the gym. I felt completely normal. And that was unusual because other people that I know who had had surgery, it took them a lot longer to feel normal again. And so, be aware of your body, your experience, your limits. Listen to yourself. Don't push yourself too hard, and you will be fine. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please click the like button down below. Comment section is open if you have any other questions about something I might have forgotten to cover in this video. And please do subscribe if you like to see these kinds of videos. I will link up here to my playlist of top surgery videos so you can see from when I decided what surgeon I was going to go to now, over a year post-op, how I have gone along that journey. I think I have a week, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and 6 months post-op videos as well as this one. And yeah, that's all for now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.